Hi there. One of my favorite movies from years ago was The Three Amigos. Now, I realize that it probably hasn't withstood the test of time and probably is culturally inappropriate in many ways, but I thought it would illustrate something that I wanted to talk about today, which are the three amigos of the investment opportunities that most people have, especially those who are looking to buy their first home. So I guess I'm gearing this towards a younger, maybe under 40 crowd, probably who haven't seen the Three Amigos, but that's the risk you take when you try to be creative. So the three basic investment opportunities, the vehicles that people have access to, are the registered retirement savings plan, the tax-free savings account, and the new first home savings account. They can work really well together. They do different things, much like the members of the Three Amigos did different things. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the rules around them, but it's important to know that all three of those are just empty shells that have a particular tax treatment, and inside that is the investment that you have. So whether you're investing in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, segregated funds, GICs, cash, treasury bills, whatever the thing is, and a combination of those, that's where you get that experience. So the RRSP, TFSA, and FHSA don't necessarily have a rate of return. It's the investment inside. So if you want to know about how investments work, there's other videos on my site. Please check those out. But I just want to compare and contrast the three different vehicles and how you can use them in your portfolio. As I said, it all has to do with tax because these are registered investments and they have different purposes, much like a hammer is a different tool than a screwdriver or a pair of pliers. So on this side of my illustration, I've got tax, what certain type of tax treatment these things have, whether you get a tax deduction for making a contribution, whether the tax is sheltered during the time that it is inside that so that you're not eroding your growth to taxation, and whether it's taxed upon withdrawal and what the rules are. So with the registered retirement savings plan, when you make a contribution, you get a tax deduction for doing that. So essentially, whatever your tax rate is currently, you get that money back again for making a contribution into your RSP. It is sheltered from growth upon any of the investment experience that you have. You're not going to pay any tax on that while it's inside, but it is taxed on withdrawal. So whatever your marginal tax rate is that time, when you take the money out, it now becomes income in your hand and you pay tax on it at that time. So get a tax deduction for making a contribution, sheltered growth, tax withdrawal. The only time that you do not get you're not taxed on it upon withdrawal is when you use it for the first home buyer's plan. So you can take out currently up to $35,000 to make a deposit onto your first home. You don't pay tax, or the lifelong learning plan. So those two programs allow you to take money out of your RSP without paying any tax on it. Make sense? Good. Next one, tax-free savings account. Many Canadians have this. You can contribute on an annual basis up to a certain amount based on your age and your past contribution. It's not income tested like the RSP is. It's a little bit different though because you do not get a tax deduction for making a contribution. So if you put $1,000 in, it doesn't affect your taxes. You don't have to report that to Revenue Canada. So keep that in mind. But the tax is sheltered while it's growing inside. So whether you get 5% or 10%, whatever the rate of return is, whatever your investment experience is, you do not pay any tax on that. So you're not eroding that, just like the RSP. But different than the RSP, it is not taxed on withdrawal. So whatever you put in, whatever growth you have, you can take that out without any taxable impact. It's a very liquid tool. More Canadians are putting money into the tax-free savings account as opposed to other instruments because of that tax favorability. Many people prefer that to getting the tax deduction, especially if you're just starting out in your career and you expect to make more money down the road. And finally, there's the brand new First Home Savings Account. This one came online this year, and it's intended to help people save for their first home by giving them some of the combination of the best things in both the RSP and the TFSA. So how does that work? You can put in $8,000 this year, $8,000 next year. Currently, the cap is a 5-year plan of $40,000. We'll see if that lasts. But you get a tax deduction for making a contribution, just like the RSP. So put money in, you'll get credited for that this year. Well, when you get your taxes done for 2023 and 2024, you'll get a tax refund for the contribution. It is, the growth is sheltered during the time that it is in there. So all three tools have that same quality. But it is not taxed on withdrawal if you use it for making a deposit into your first home. So you get the tax deduction, but you don't pay the tax when you make that deposit to your first home. So this is a very powerful tool for people that are looking to buy their first home, 4 or 5 years from now. You do have to get started on it in order to start building up that room. So waiting doesn't benefit you. Open up a first home savings account this year. Just put $50, $25 into it so that you qualify for the first $8,000 eligibility in this calendar year. So those three things, those three programs work really well together. We're not even talking about what to put inside of it. That is a different conversation. But you can see that the three amigos of financial investing work really well together when we are looking at building a diversified plan. So I hope that is good information for you. Please let me know if you have any comments or questions. Subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to know anything more, please reach out. You can book an online call with me, and I'm happy to run through that. And I hope that you can use this to help gain some altitude and gain confidence.